Btth2 Rumble. The Yunluo Academy was thousands of miles in circumference. Because of the battle between two monarch cultivation warriors, the heaven and earth were shaking. The air was turbulent, and the monarch emperor-level expert that he accidentally touched was torn into pieces before he could even let out a miserable cry. Those who were lucky enough to survive were also seriously injured. In this chaotic situation, there was basically no hope of survival. The square of Yunluo Academy belonged to the outer domain, and it was in a mess right now. Several magnificent pavilions had been destroyed. The pavilions and rockery had been reduced to ashes. The square was full of bumps and hollows, as if it had experienced a violent hurricane. Yuan Tianmu, Su Qingwu, and a group of injured elders all entered the inner courtyard. With the protection of the formation, ordinary enemies were at their wits' end. There were less than 10 elders left. They were Elder Xiao. Under the lead of Elder Wu and the Xiaoao, the path to the inner academy was completely sealed off. The Xiaoao's performance also caused everyone to be shocked. The latter used a long mace. Facing the pincer attack of several monarch emperor warriors, he didn't seem to be at a disadvantage. He was just a single person. This attracted the attention of most of the enemies. Xiao Yan and Wu Shaoqi relied on their unparalleled movement techniques to shuttle among the enemies. Every time they attacked, there would be a miserable cry of a monarch emperor warrior. However, in just a moment, it was already a miserable cry of a monarch emperor. Nearly 10 monarch emperor were seriously injured by the hands of these two men. I will go and help Su Ziyang. A cold light flickered in Xiao Yan's eyes. He gently reminded Wu Shaoqi who was beside him. Although Su Ziyang's current strength had barely reached the monarch cultivation, it was still very difficult for him to fight Black Nether Emperor together with Grandma Bai. Not to mention, there were two Emperor cultivation warriors surrounding them, eyeing them covetously. Wu Shaoqi obviously knew how easy it was to deal with this matter. Immediately, she nodded her head with a serious face. If they didn't get rid of these Emperor cultivation and even Black Nether Emperor first, they wouldn't be able to do anything even if they defeated all the monarch emperor warriors. Xiao Yan nodded his head silently. His eyes swept across the distance. There, Xiao Tianyi was like a god that was born from the lightning. Holding a lightning spear in his hand, his momentum was tremendous. Every strike was like the fury of thunder, and it carried a force of 1,000 jun. Like a sea of lightning, there was a roaring flame in the ocean. The lightning transformed into a phenomenon, and the thunder phoenix cried out. The roar of the thunder dragon caused the two emperor cultivation warriors to be unable to fight back for a period of time. Swoosh! Xiao Yan withdrew his gaze and shook his wrist. The blue flame ruler appeared in his palm. In the next moment, accompanied by specks of starlight, Xiao Yan had already charged forward and charged towards the other two emperor cultivation warriors in the air. In order to make Su Ziyang and Grandma Bai feel at ease to deal with Black Nether Emperor, these two emperor cultivation warriors must be eliminated. Boom! In merely an instant, Xiao Yan appeared behind the two emperor cultivation experts. Before the two of them could react, the blue flame ruler, which had been accumulating strength for a long time, suddenly smashed forward. The three-colored monarch flame on the ruler's surface surged wildly, as if it wanted to incinerate everything. It incinerated the air in front of them and attacked a purple-robed elder in front of them. Buzz! At this critical moment, the purple-robed old man finally reacted. Immediately, his expression changed drastically. His lips moved swiftly, as if he was muttering something. In the next moment, the blue flame ruler whizzed past, but it only struck an empty space. The space not far away trembled slightly. The purple-robed old man's expression was ugly as he slowly appeared. His turbid eyes could not hide the fury within them. His dark and sinister eyes looked at Xiao Yan. His old face trembled as he spoke in a dense voice, "You are seeking death. Xiao Yan, today will be your burial ground." Yu Mei-er's eyes widened and she shouted. She opened her arms and a delicate fragrance drifted over. In an instant, the entire world seemed to be indolent. It made people feel as if they were unable to lift their spirits. Spirit charm Qi. Xiao Yan suddenly shivered, and he recalled what he had heard in the Yunluo Academy. It was said that the sect master of the Heaven Charm sect in the capital of Chaos was this woman. She was born with a seductive body, and with her innate spirit charm, she had captivated all the men in the capital of Chaos. She was willing to sacrifice her life for her. This aura could be said to be lethal to men. Buzz. Xiao Yan's eyes turned red. The charm entered his body, causing his dantian to feel hot and hot. The origin qi in his body howled, and he almost lost control of it. Yu Mei-er's expression was seductive. She cast a flirtatious glance at Xiao Yan, then looked at the purple-robed elder in the distance. Although the elder tried his best to control it, his face was still red. He, men are all the same. Shaking her head in disdain, Yu Mei-er licked her red lips with her lisp. Her actions were extremely alluring. Her coquettish eyes looked at Xiao Yan in front of her and she couldn't help but smile. Her voice was ethereal and her every action was filled with charm. I'll deal with you. It's that guy. A fierce killing intent flashed in Yu Mei-er's eyes. She gently stretched out her jade-like hand, and her exquisite red fingernails were covered with majestic origin qis. She was about to stab Xiao Yan's neck. Swoosh! Swoosh! Suddenly, a black flame flashed across Xiao Yan's body. Before Yu Mei-er could react, Xiao Yan's eyes suddenly became clear. Without any hesitation, he swung the blue flame ruler in his hand, sending Yu Mei-er flying with a sharp cry. Xiao Yan looked coldly at Yu Mei-er, who was flying backwards, and gently exhaled. The black flame was the all-embracing nether flame. The all-embracing nether flame could burn everything in the world, and this charm could naturally burn everything into ashes. How can there be a man who is not affected by the charm? Are you still a man? Yu Mei-er stabilized her body and looked at Xiao Yan in shock. She covered her red lips and her beautiful eyes could not hide her shock. Xiao Yan sneered when he heard this. He turned his eyes to the purple-robed elder not far away. Although Yu Mei-er was also an emperor cultivation, she was still an emperor cultivation warrior. The reason why she was able to become a giant was because she was weaker than Hong Xing. It seemed like she had a great connection with the charm qi. Since they were sitting opposite each other, it was better to get rid of this old man first. Boom! Xiao Yan's feet shattered the void. His body was like a dragon as he rushed towards the purple-robed elder. The latter's expression was gloomy. The qi around his body was majestic. He also charged forward. He did not believe that he, as an emperor cultivation, would not be able to kill a monarch emperor. How is this possible? Yu Mei-er stood firmly in the air. She looked at the old man and Xiao Yan who were fighting fiercely. Xiao Yan was still mumbling to himself. The charming qi from before was invincible to men. Why would it harm a monarch emperor today? I don't care anymore. I'll kill that guy first before dealing with him. Recovering from her shock, Yu Mei-er's beautiful eyes suddenly stared at the distant Xiao Tianyi. When she saw the latter's formation, she couldn't help but feel shocked. It was as if Xiao Tianyi was in a sea of lightning. He commanded thousands of lightning bolts to accelerate his body. He looked majestic, and his killing intent was violent. A giant lightning fist was swung across the sky, and it actually suppressed the two emperor cultivation warriors. They didn't even have the strength to fight back. Kai, spiritual charm qi once again spread out. Under Yu Mei-er's deliberate control, it completely enveloped Xiao Tianyi and quickly merged into his body. Wait for death. Yu Mei-er's eyes were filled with charm as she gave off a charming smile. Stupid woman, how dare you attack me? The next one to die will be you. Suddenly, Xiao Tianyi roared. His voice contained an unconcealable fury, and his eyes were red. When facing the attacks of two emperor cultivation warriors, he actually had the chance to roar at Yu Mei-er. Arg! Yu Mei-er's eyes widened, and she almost lost her balance. Although Xiao Tianyi's eyes were red, she could clearly feel the extreme violence that he had displayed at that time. It wasn't because he was bewitched by the spiritual charm. The current Xiao Tianyi, not only did he not show any signs of weakness, his combat intent was even higher. The sound of thunder filled the sky, as if he was the reincarnation of a god. The lightning spear had long been shattered, and the lightning dragon in his right hand roared furiously. The thunder tiger in his left hand hissed, and a myriad of phenomena occurred. Carrying an unstoppable momentum, it pressed down on Jiyu Man and Shen Kanglong. These two people. Yu Mei-er's heart was filled with bitterness. Her red lips parted slightly, but she couldn't say anything. Enhance the formation. Suddenly, an ear-splitting shout came from the distant sky. Su Ziyang's eyes turned red, and he gritted his teeth. It was as if he was enduring a tremendous amount of pain. Boundless origin qis once again surged out from the square and entered his body. 1-inch Su Ziyang, stop. Grandma Bai was the first to notice that something was wrong. She immediately scolded in a stern tone. Su Ziyang's eyes were red. Under the support of the endless supply of origin cheese in the square, the joints in his body rose explosively. He acted as though he did not hear Grandma Bai's cry. He continued to use all his strength to hold this extremely majestic origin chi. Crack crack. Suddenly, a crack appeared on Su Ziyang's wrist. In an instant, several crack lines had already spread all over his body. After containing the incomparably majestic origin chi, his body could not endure any longer and began to crack inch by inch. Ah! Su Ziyang suddenly lifted his head to the sky and roared furiously. Endless origin cheese rose from the top of his head and soared into the sky, shattering the thick clouds in the sky. His aura also stabilized very quickly, and he had reached the true monarch cultivation level. Hu! Exclamation mark quote. Su Ziyang's robe was dyed red with blood. Horrifying cracks spread across his skin, revealing the ghastly white bones within. His entire body was on the verge of breaking apart, and the veins on his forehead were bulging. He was like a crazy god, causing people to feel intimidated. Get out of the Yunluo Academy. Enduring the heart-piercing pain, Su Ziyang roared out in a hoarse voice. Without waiting for Grandma Bai to stop him, Su Ziyang had already rushed forward. His black hair was messy and scattered behind his head. His eyes were scarlet red, and only Black Nether Emperor's figure was left in his eyes. You don't know the difference between life and death. Black Nether Emperor also became serious. His arms shook. The black robe had turned into ashes and disappeared, revealing the black armor that was glowing with a dim light. Without the obstruction of his sleeve, Black Nether Emperor was able to exert his full strength. His 5 fingers formed a palm and pushed forward. In an instant, the wind and clouds were stirred. Thousands of sharp origin cheese converged and turned into a huge palm that seemed to want to destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth. It pressed down on Su Ziyang. Su Ziyang had almost lost his mind. The majestic origin cheese in his body filled every single meridian. A heart-piercing swelling pain swept across his entire body along with waves of twitching. He did not dare to think too much about it. Only by placing all of his heart on Black Nether Emperor's body would the pain be slightly alleviated. Kai la la! The origin cheese around his body surged wildly. 10-arm-thick origin chains shot out explosively from within Su Ziyang's body. They were shining with a dazzling light, like gigantic chains that stretched across the heavens and the earth. The chains swelled with the wind. Each chain was as thick as a 10,000-year-old tree in an instant. Carrying a wild and violent aura that caused one's heart to tremble, it tore through the sky towards the heaven-shrouding palm. The rumbling of the chains resounded through the heavens and the earth, and it firmly blocked the enormous palm. In an instant, 2 powerful forces instantly erupted. All the buildings within a radius of dozens of kilometers were destroyed. The mountain collapsed, and the huge rocks shattered into dust as they were sent flying. Terrifying. More and more experts came to watch the battle. When they saw the fight between the 2 monarch cultivation experts in the distance, they couldn't help but feel ashamed in their hearts. This kind of technique was incomparably powerful. Elder Shao also heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. He looked into the distance with lingering fear in his heart. Fortunately, Black Nether Emperor and Su Ziyang had already left the Yunluo Academy's territory under Grandma Bai's guidance. Otherwise, the momentum of the fight between the 2 of them would have caused more than half of the Yunluo Academy to die. Su Ziyang, you are too crazy. Elder Shao gritted his teeth. A trace of worry flashed across his eyes. This fellow had risked the destruction of his body to forcefully absorb a large amount of origin monarch chi into his body. Although he had temporarily gained the strength of a monarch cultivation, the consequences were unimaginable. Xiao Tianyi has actually come here. He must be here for Xiao Yan's monarch flame. Fortunately, he was able to restrain 2 emperor cultivation warriors. Elder Xiao's eyes swept across Xiao Tianyi, who was standing in the distance, and then he looked at Xiao Yan. Crimson gold flame emerged around the latter's body, and the flames were like rolling waves that kept surging in all directions. It carried a huge amount of power, and it actually forced his opponent to continuously retreat. And this little fellow, Xiao Yan, you've really helped the academy a lot this time. The great elder didn't misjudge you. Seeing Xiao Yan and the Xiao Ao unleashing their divine might, Elder Xiao felt slightly relieved. After that, A layer of coldness emerged in his eyes. As long as the Yunluo Academy could survive this crisis today, all the people who had invaded the academy today would be hunted down by them for the rest of their lives. Boom! Xiao Yan's expression was ice cold. A punch filled with anger seemed to be able to shatter the space. It penetrated through the space and hit the chest of the old man. The old man's face turned red, and he couldn't help but retreat. What kind of speed is this? It's even faster than me. The purple-robed elder's face was filled with shock. He looked at Xiao Yan in disbelief. Even though he had used all of his skills, he still couldn't catch up with Xiao Yan's speed. Xiao Yan did not say anything. He glanced at the distance from the corner of his eye. Su Ziyang's chi had already reached a peak. He was actually able to forcefully block Black Nether Emperor's heaven-shrouding palm. Despite this, Xiao Yan could still sense the wild and violent aura within the latter's body. This aura was like a burning torch that was about to burn through it. At this moment, Su Ziyang was completely overdrawing his own life to maintain this kind of strength. Kai! A brutal glint flashed across Xiao Yan's eyes. He turned his gaze towards the purple-robed elder in front of him. The latter's strength was a little weaker than Hong Xing's, but he was extremely troublesome to deal with. By relying on the powerful Origin Monarch Qi, he was able to continuously deal with Xiao Yan, wasting his time. Su Ziyang, today is the day you die. All of a sudden, Black Nether Emperor's cold voice resounded across the sky. After that, the entire world seemed to have turned gloomy. Boundless black chi roared out and swept across the world. In an instant, the 10 origin chains were corroded. Su Ziyang's expression changed. He couldn't help but spurt out a mouthful of blood. In the next moment, the gigantic hand that blotted out the sky shot out, smashing him out. Su Ziyang was just like a kite with a broken string as he fell heavily onto the ground. Fresh blood splattered across the sky. Swoosh! The moment Su Ziyang landed on the ground, countless green vines crazily grew out from the ground and steadily caught him. Immediately after that, green origin cheese came out from the vines and entered Su Ziyang's body, repairing the serious injuries in his body. You child! Grandma Bai appeared beside Su Ziyang and gave him a pained look. Without saying anything, she placed her palm on his forehead and a majestic origin chi entered his body to treat his injuries. Martial mother, don't use origin cheese for me. Su Ziyang lay on the green vine. He struggled to open his eyes and spoke weakly. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. Don't be silly. My origin chi's greatest effect is healing. As you can see, my attack is useless to him. Grandma Bai laughed bitterly. Her palm was placed on Su Ziyang's forehead. In an instant, the latter's pale face had some redness. I am unwilling. How can I not be able to receive a single blow from him? Su Ziyang gritted his teeth and muttered to himself. Grandma Bai remained silent and looked at the sky. Black Nether Emperor was calm and composed. The black chi behind him gathered into the black flame throne and sat on it. He looked at Grandma Bai and Su Ziyang with some interest. Boom! Just as everyone was feeling depressed, an explosive sound suddenly sounded, instantly attracting the attention of many people. It's that little fellow. Grandma Bai looked in the direction of the explosion, and when she saw what happened clearly, she could not help but be stunned. In that direction, Xiao Yan's chi surged. With a cold expression, he punched through the purple-robed elder's body and tore him into 2 halves. In his other hand, there was a milky white spirit jade. 0 inches realm traversal jade? After seeing the milky white spirit jade in Xiao Yan's hand, a fierce look flashed across Black Nether Emperor's eyes. He looked at Xiao Yan thoughtfully. Xiao Yan had used the realm traversal jade to travel through space and suddenly appeared behind the purple-robed old man. In an instant, he gathered all of his energy into his fist and killed the old man. Li Xianfeng's realm traversal jade was used so quickly. Black Nether Emperor muttered softly. Without any warning, he waved his hand and a black light rushed out like a black python. It broke through the space and attacked Xiao Yan. The power was so great that it caused the space to crack. It had already locked onto Xiao Yan. The black light flashed and approached Xiao Yan's body in a flash. The powerful force caused the surrounding space to hiss. The terrifying and powerful chi suppressed Xiao Yan so much that he couldn't even breathe, let alone use the Starlight Silent Step. Buzz! Xiao Yan clenched his teeth tightly. A trace of blood flowed out from his teeth. The origin chi on his body surged and instantly resolved the pressure from the endless origin chi on him. In the next moment, the milky white spirit jade in his hand shot out in all directions. The black light went straight to Xiao Yan's body, but it only left behind a series of afterimages. Kai! In the air several dozen miles away, the space trembled. Xiao Yan flashed out from the middle. Although he looked miserable, he didn't suffer any injuries at all. Damned bastard! Xu Yan looked at Xiao Yan with a gloomy gaze. The spiritual jade in Xiao Yan's hand was precisely the realm traversal jade that he had seized from Zhu Jun and Xu Yan. It had actually become Xiao Yan's trump card to protect his life. Martial Mother, protect. Protect Xiao Yan. Black Nether Emperor has attacked him. Su Ziyang became anxious when he saw Black Nether Emperor's sudden attack. He immediately sat up from the ancient vine and spoke urgently. Before his voice faded, a cracking feeling spread out from his body, causing his body to soften and fall onto the ancient vine once again. I'll heal your injuries first. Without you, no one here is a match for Black Nether Emperor. Grandma Bai gritted her teeth, and her palm continued to press against Su Ziyang's forehead. A continuous stream of green origin energy turned into clear streams and flowed into Su Ziyang's body. The cracks on his body were also recovering rapidly. Swoosh! Without waiting for Su Ziyang to speak, Grandma Bai took the opportunity to throw him away. The walking stick in her hand suddenly broke through the air and appeared beside Xiao Yan. The origin energy on the crutch circulated. Under everyone's gaze, it transformed into a wooden dragon that was 1,000 feet in size. The patterns on the wooden dragon's body were profound and eternal. It was like numerous rings of age that carried an ancient feeling. It sent out a gentle energy that caused its tail to curl up. It protected Xiao Yan in the middle. What a meddlesome old woman. Black Nether Emperor looked at Grandma Bai indifferently and smiled disdainfully. He slowly stood up from the black flame throne and looked coldly at the wooden dragon that protected Xiao Yan. He clenched his 5 fingers tightly in a force that could cause the space to sink and burst out. It broke through the layers of space and rushed towards the wooden dragon in an instant. Boom! A cold light shone in Xiao Yan's eyes. He looked at the force that was rushing towards him. The origin chains in his body rumbled, and the majestic origin chi was crazily poured into all his meridians. It was as if 10,000 spiritual sounds were resonating. There was actually an origin chains vaguely seeping out of his body. The chains flickered with 9-colored light, dispersing the endless black chi that was being forced over. White Tiger Spiritual Spell. Xiao Yan faced the sky and let out a furious roar. The origin chains soared into the sky from the top of his head. At the same time, the majestic origin chi was roaring around his body. In an instant, a huge white tiger appeared out of thin air. The white tiger's 4 hooves shattered the sky, and its tail whipped across the sky. With a series of sharp sounds, the huge body of the wooden dragon wrapped around the white tiger. A dragon and a tiger both emitted an aura that shocked everyone. Facing Black Nether Emperor's boundless strength, they rushed forward. The origin chi was like an endless river, carrying a force that could destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth. The moment the collision occurred, it swallowed the force, and the force did not decrease. It rushed towards Black Nether Emperor with a loud bang. Boom! Lightning surrounded Xiao Tianyé's body, making him look like a violent ocean of lightning. Fire phoenixes materialized one after another. Their wings were mixed with buzzing lightning. A lightning seal suddenly appeared on Xiao Tianyé's forehead. Almost at the same time that Xiao Yan casted the White Tiger spiritual spell, the lightning seal on Xiao Tianyé's forehead suddenly expanded. He unleashed a thunderous strike, killing Shen Kanglong and Ji Yu Man. The 2 origin chains shattered at the same time, and were destroyed along with the origin chi's whistling sound. The violent lightning was retracted into his body. Xiao Tianyi waved his hand, and grabbed both of their bodies in an instant. With a thunderous roar, both of their corpses disappeared without a trace. Xiao Tianyi frowned and looked into the distance. Xiao Yan was standing on top of a wooden dragon. The white tiger behind him roared furiously. The chi it unleashed was actually able to suppress the storms in the world. He. After being stunned for a moment, a violent red color immediately surged into Xiao Tianyé's eyes. He started laughing maniacally in a sickly manner. Due to his excitement, his entire body was trembling. This imposing manner caused his blood to boil. He really couldn't help but immediately fight with it. Roar! Cold light shone from the white tiger's copper bell-sized bloody eyes. The tiger claw struck down like a mountain, smashing straight at Black Nether Emperor. It was as majestic as a rainbow, as if it was going to tear the heaven and earth apart. Swoosh! His 5 fingers were pushed out like a palm. Black Nether Emperor's face was cold, but the killing intent in his eyes was even colder. Buzz! In the next moment, the white tiger's body had already submerged Black Nether Emperor. A chaotic color suddenly appeared in the sky. All of a sudden, a loud explosive sound was heard, dispersing the clouds in the sky, bringing a trace of clarity to this part of the world. Boom! Boundless might surged over like a tidal wave. Everything that was affected by it turned into dust and vanished. In an instant, everything within a few hundred miles had vanished. The outer court of Yunluo Academy had completely fallen into a deathly silence. It has practically broken through the formation of the inner court. This little fellow actually possesses such strength. Grandma Bai stood in midair. She looked at the Yunluo Academy in the distance and involuntarily inhaled a breath of cold air. Countless green vines wrapped around her back. Each green vine was wrapped around an elder of the Yunluo Academy. She had acted the moment the white tiger swallowed Black Nether Emperor. Hence, everyone was not seriously injured. In Capital of Chaos. On the side of Capital of Chaos, the severely injured and unconscious monarch emperor couldn't escape from this attack. Only a few dozen of them managed to escape. A moment later, this frightening ripple slowly disappeared. When the dust settled, Black Nether Emperor's figure did not move at all as he appeared in front of everyone's eyes. He! Xiao Tianyi stood on top of a green mountain. Lightning flashed across his eyes. He had clearly seen all of this. For the first time, a trace of shock flashed across his brutal eyes when he saw Black Nether Emperor's appearance. Xiao Yan, no matter what you do today, you will only die. Your existence will be a huge problem to me. The black flame throne behind Black Nether Emperor had already been destroyed. A trace of blood flowed down from the palm of his hand and fell to the ground, creating a deep pit. A monarch cultivation overlord, a drop of blood can kill. Although I am also a monarch cultivation, I don't have this kind of strength. If that old bastard Qi Yun comes. Grandma Bai looked at Xiao Yan, who was standing in the distance. The latter had not suffered any injuries under the protection of the wooden dragon. If Xiao Yan had the strength of an emperor cultivation, he might still be able to fight Black Nether Emperor. Unfortunately, he only managed to reach the emperor cultivation by relying on external strength. Moreover, judging from the energy within his body, it is getting weaker and weaker. He will not be able to hold on for much longer. Grandma Bai's heart was as fine as a strand of hair. With a single glance, she could see through Xiao Yan's current condition. Emperor cultivation? Mistress, this disciple has a way. Hearing this, Su Ziyang's eyes suddenly lit up. He looked down at the Yunluo Academy and said with a fervent gaze. 0 inches you want him to contain the array formation origin cheese? Grandma Bai seemed to have seen through Su Ziyang's thoughts as she muttered to herself. That's right, the formation origin chi can only be used on one person. As long as it is handled properly, it will not cause too much damage to the person. With this, his enhanced strength and his current strength will be enough to reach the true emperor cultivation. Su Ziyang's expression calmed down, and he quickly planned everything in his mind. Alright, I'll go and stop Black Nether Emperor. I'll leave the rest to you. Grandma Bai nodded and did not deny it. Immediately, her toes lightly stepped on the layers of green vines below, and she rushed towards where Black Nether Emperor was. Her speed was as fast as a shooting star. Xiao Yan, follow me. At the same time Grandma Bai moved, Su Ziyang shouted and rushed towards the outer courtyard of Yunluo Academy. Xiao Yan was slightly stunned when he heard this. When he saw Grandma Bai rushing towards him and pointing at Su Ziyang, he didn't think much about it. The stars around his body flashed and caught up with Su Ziyang's speed in the blink of an eye. Ow! The wooden dragon in the air roared towards the sky. The origin chi on its enormous body whistled and turned into a walking stick that steadily returned to Grandma Bai's hand. Black Nether Emperor, I will meet you. Grandma Bai stood on the green vines that were dancing in the sky. Her tone was indifferent. With your little tricks, you are not a threat to me. Glancing at Xiao Yan, who was rushing towards the Yunluo Academy, Black Nether Emperor retracted his gaze and looked at Grandma Bai. I can't hurt you, but can you hurt me? Grandma Bai calmed her mind and did not rush to attack. She was trying her best to stall for time, waiting for Xiao Yan to have enough time to store the formation origin cheese. Killing you is meaningless, Black Nether Emperor said and looked at his palm. Due to blocking Xiao Yan's fierce attack, the flesh on his palm had been turned upside down. It was a horrible sight to behold. It seems like Xiao Yan's attack is still a threat to you. Otherwise, how could a dignified monarch cultivation be injured? A cold light flickered in Grandma Bai's eyes as she spoke calmly. That's why he must die. Black Nether Emperor retracted his palm with a smile, but his eyes contained an indescribable coldness. I don't understand. He is only a monarch emperor. Even if he killed the Spirit King, how could he attract your attention? What is your true purpose for coming to Yunluo Academy? Grandma Bai glanced at Su Ziyang and Xiao Yan from the corner of her eye and said in a deep voice. It's mainly to kill him, and also to destroy the Yunluo Academy. Black Nether Emperor raised his brows slightly and his cold voice resounded across the sky. What wishful thinking! Grandma Bai could no longer hold it in and coldly harumphed. Xiao Yan, are you done? I have been waiting for you for a long time. Ignoring Grandma Bai, Black Nether Emperor suddenly looked down and spoke with a thunderous voice. Damn it, he has already found out. Not only Grandma Bai, but Elder Xiao's expression also changed in the distance. What was this fellow trying to do? In the outer courtyard of Yunluo Academy, the ground was scorched and the ground cracked. Under Su Ziyang's guidance, the Su Ziyangs on Xiao Yan's body gradually calmed down. In the next moment, his eyes suddenly opened. Countless pure origin qis rushed out from the top of his skull. The qi that erupted from his skull made Su Ziyang tremble with fear. HMPH. Xiao Tianye's face was cold. He looked at Xiao Yan, whose qi had increased tremendously. He clenched his teeth tightly, and an unquenchable brutality emerged in his eyes. I'm counting on you. Su Ziyang had also gotten Yuvmu's possession from Xiao Yan. He took a deep breath and spoke in a deep voice. He is not Kang Feng. Xiao Yan smiled, but there was no emotion in his eyes. Currently, his qi had reached the peak that his body could contain, and was comparable to a late emperor cultivation. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, Black Nether Emperor's voice was heard. Xiao Yan pursed his lips and stomped on the ground. He shot up into the sky like a cannonball, and stopped a few miles away from Black Nether Emperor. Yuvmu, is the capital of chaos the starting point of your soul demon's revival? Xiao Yan's eyes sparkled. He looked at Black Nether Emperor and said word by word. That's right, you possess the Star Law, which is a huge threat to me. Today, you will die. Black Nether Emperor wasn't surprised that Xiao Yan had recognized him. His cold words contained killing intent that made people's scalps tingle. Back in Star Moon Island, you were lucky enough to escape and possess Black Nether Emperor. With his monarch cultivation strength, can you control a seriously injured soul demon? Xiao Yan's 5 fingers curved under his sleeve, and a trace of determination appeared in his eyes. Xiao Yan, you have underestimated me too much. I am one of the 9 disciples, and I can even control a heavenly sovereign warrior. A puny monarch cultivation warrior is nothing to me. However, I have never underestimated you. Those who can inherit the Star Lord Star Law are all peerless geniuses. Unfortunately, my biggest hobby is to kill geniuses. Black Nether Emperor wasn't in a hurry to attack. There was a trace of excitement in his eyes. My strength is weak. I dare not say that I will seal you like the Star Lord, but if there is a chance, even if I die, I will suppress you. Xiao Yan's deep voice suddenly roared out, and the long robe on his body exploded. A black flame instantly surrounded him as the flame curled up. The space seemed to be corroded by it, and the moment it came into contact with the origin qi. Under Xiao Yan's control, it turned into a black ocean that shook the heavens and the earth. Like a huge wave that blotted out the sky and covered the earth, it rushed towards Black Nether Emperor and the all-embracing Nether Flame. However, apart from the arts of synchronization, it was also one of the flames that countered the soul demon. You are overestimating yourself, Xiao Yan. My family is going to rise, and you are the first one who will die. Black Nether Emperor roared out in anger. His body was crazily filled with endless black energy. Within the black energy, there was a hint of red mixed within. The black energy was like boiling water that constantly exploded, turning into a black current that could cover the sky and cover the sun. It was like a giant leviathan that could swallow the heavens and earth. It rushed towards the black flame's massive waves. The exchange between the two instantly attracted everyone's attention. Most of the people present didn't understand the word soul demon, but Grandma Bai, Su Ziyang, and the others' expressions changed. From their conversation, they knew why Black Nether Emperor had invaded the Yunluo Academy. Yuv Mu had made up his mind to set the capital of chaos as the starting point of the Soul Demon Clan's rise. Even without Xiao Yan, Yuv Mu still had to eliminate the Yunluo Academy. It was just a matter of time, but if that really happened. When he fully recovered his strength, he wouldn't just bring these few Emperor cultivation with him. Instead, he would bring an endless army of Soul Demon and countless controlled experts. Swoosh! The moment before the Black Chi wave collided with the Black Chi wave, Xiao Yan let out a furious roar. A ray of light suddenly flashed in his hand. Suddenly, Xiao Yan appeared behind Black Nether Emperor. He extended both of his hands and a bright starlight appeared in his palm. Rumble! Endless origin chis seemed to have surged from all over the world. They transformed into numerous ferocious origin chi dragons that surged into Xiao Yan's body. At this moment, extremely bright starlight was slowly circulating in the middle of the latter's palm. It was as though the brightest star in the world had been gathered here. Xiao Yan had a ferocious look on his face at this moment. All the origin chis on his body seemed to be burning along with the bright stars. Waves of flesh and blood energy merged into it, bringing about a power that caused the world to change color. Star Law, Star Execution. 2 inches Xiao Yan endured the bone-piercing pain and was surrounded by millions of stars. The origin chi in the sky seemed to be summoned and rushed towards the former. The energy in the entire world seemed to listen to his call. Endless starlight shone on Xiao Yan's palm, and the light it released made everyone look at him. Swoosh! 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 The stars in his palm were like the rising sun. A shocking chi slowly gathered in his palm, as if he had crushed one world after another. Then, he leapt towards Black Nether Emperor. In an instant, the heaven and earth trembled. Endless origin chi of the heaven and earth was injected into his palm, carrying with it the terrifying energy of the heaven and earth, and rushed towards Black Nether Emperor with a roar. The energy of this heaven and earth has actually been used by him. Xiao Tianyi stood in midair. He could feel the frenzied flow of the origin chi between the heaven and earth. In his brutal eyes, there was actually a slight fluctuation. Swoosh! Suddenly, Xiao Tianyi's body was wrapped by lightning. He was like a lightning that cut through the horizon as he rushed into the distance. He had clearly sensed that even if he displayed his true strength, he would not be a match for Xiao Yan in his current condition. Only by becoming stronger would he be able to snatch the monarch flame from Xiao Yan's hands. Xiao Yan, the next time we meet, it will be the time of your death. Xiao Tianyi's body trembled slightly. The fury in his chest was completely ignited. The brutality in his character became even more intense. In the blink of an eye, he had already left this place. Chase him! Lei Yunjiao laughed coldly as he watched Xiao Tianyi leave. Immediately, he shouted out loudly, and lost interest in the rare battle in front of him. With a jolt of his body, he chased after Xiao Tianyi like a shooting star chasing after the moon. Behind him, a few members of the Thundercloud clan followed suit. All of them were at the peak of Monarch Emperor, and Lei Yunjiao was at the peak of the Emperor cultivation. With such strength, he could easily defeat Xiao Tianyi. Putting aside the fact that it was a piece of cake, it was more than enough to defeat Xiao Tianyi. Xiao Yan suddenly appeared behind him using the Realm Traversal Jade, and instantly unleashed his star technique. The origin monarch chis in the world were all augmented on him, causing cold sweat to wildly break out on Black Nether Emperor's back. Compared to the time when he fought Kang Feng, the current Xiao Yan, the heaven and earth origin chi that could be pulled by the star execution was even more terrifying. It was an origin chi with a radius of 1,000 miles. It roared like a gigantic dragon, and under the influence of the star execution, it arrived. They slammed down toward him. Soul magic, blood race. A cold glint flashed across Black Nether Emperor's eyes. He suddenly spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. The fresh blood had just come into contact with the air when it began to burn wildly. Endless blood vapor rose and wrapped around Black Nether Emperor in layers. A ferocious blood-colored aura surged out in all directions. The moment before the endless star power smashed towards the ladder, the blood-colored aura actually transformed into numerous crystal-like armor, protecting him tightly. Buzz! Under the watch of countless number of people, the endless star power suddenly swallowed Black Nether Emperor. In the next moment, everyone's eyes flashed. A piercing pain came from their eyes, causing them to close their eyes. Before everyone could react, a series of shock waves suddenly attacked. The impact was even more intense than the first one, causing everyone to be sent flying. For a moment, the majestic sound of the origin chi mixed with the exclamations of the crowd. The scene was spectacular. Xiao Yan had lost all the origin chis in his body. At such a close distance from Black Nether Emperor, he felt as if his body was going to break apart. The side effects of using the Heavenly Monarch fire-burning body were spreading crazily from his body like weeds. The intense pain caused his face to turn pale. The meridians in his body were twisting, as if they were going to tear him apart. Swoosh! At this moment, a green vine that was emitting green origin chi broke through the air and accurately wrapped around Xiao Yan, pulling him out of the range of the shockwave. Xiao Yan, how are you? Wu Shaoqi, Su Ziyang and the rest hurriedly stepped forward when they saw that Xiao Yan was rescued by Grandma Bai. They examined Xiao Yan's injuries. The latter's face was pale and there was not a trace of blood on his face. There were traces of ferocious cracks on his body. Fresh blood flowed out and dyed him in blood. His aura was weak, but he tried his best to open his eyes. His injuries are too serious. Grandma Bai frowned. Her voice was a little heavy. What? Su Ziyang felt suffocated when he heard this. Grandma Bai's origin chi was extremely effective in treating injuries. Now, she actually said such a thing. Xiao Yan, are you all right? The Xiao Ao flashed a few times and came to Xiao Yan's side. When it saw the bloodstains all over Xiao Yan's body, tears couldn't help but appear in its big eyes. It grabbed Xiao Yan's hand and said urgently. Xiao Yan forced a smile on his face, but he was unable to say anything. After that, he looked into the distance with great effort. There, the endless stars were slowly dissipating, and the origin chi in this world was once again dissipating. Boom! Without waiting for Grandma Bai to speak, Su Ziyang suddenly jumped up and stared at the center of the stars. A shocking aura also spread out from within. After the light faded, Black Nether Emperor's figure once again appeared in front of everyone's eyes. When they saw the former's appearance clearly, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. The blood crystal armor on Black Nether Emperor's body had completely disappeared. His originally graceful and dignified attire was now only tattered clothes. His black hair was scattered down, adding to his sorry state. Both of his arms were trembling, and drops of blood were continuously flowing out from his body. His aura was clearly much weaker than before. How could a monarch cultivation be beaten to such a state? The spectators were all trembling with fear. At this moment, they were far away from the center of the battlefield, and each of their hearts was filled with a question. Ah! All of a sudden, Yu Mei-er, who had dodged far away, suddenly let out a sharp cry. Even though she cried out miserably, her voice was soft and charming, causing the bones of many people to soften. Following Yu Mei-er's scream, a blood-red fog filled with a violent aura suddenly rushed out from the top of her head and instantly dissipated. The former's eyes also became clear at this moment. He couldn't help but be slightly stunned as he looked at where he was. After that, he suddenly looked at Black Nether Emperor in the distance, and a fierce hatred appeared in his eyes. As expected, he was controlled by Yuv Mu. Grandma Bai muttered softly. From the moment she knew that Black Nether Emperor was Yuv Mu, she could guess that these Emperor cultivation were controlled by him. The moment Yu Mei-er escaped from his control, Black Nether Emperor couldn't help but take a deep breath. His expression changed slightly. Clearly, he had also suffered a serious injury. I have temporarily maintained Xiao Yan's injuries. We will talk after Yuv Mu retreats. Grandma Bai handed Xiao Yan over to Wu Shaoqi and Xiao Ao. Her body suddenly appeared in midair. Her eyes were cold as she looked at Black Nether Emperor. The latter's current strength had also been reduced by quite a lot. With her and Su Ziyang joining hands, even if they could not kill him, it was sufficient to chase him away. I have miscalculated. I never expected that he would actually possess such strength. Black Nether Emperor trembled as he wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth. He let out a cold laugh. The origin chi within his body surged and the bright red origin chains gurgled. Get lost. Su Ziyang's voice was cold and indifferent. That won't do. How can we not kill him? Black Nether Emperor gently smiled. Before Su Ziyang could react, the former suddenly extended his arm. In an instant, it extended for a couple of miles and directly grabbed Su Ziyang's neck. Ugh! Su Ziyang's expression immediately changed. A strange feeling continuously flowed within his body, causing him to nearly faint. What are you doing? Grandma Bai was also shocked and urgently said. He wants to control. In the distance, when Yu Mei'er saw this, she frowned and hurriedly said. Ah! Ah! Before she finished speaking, a deep red color suddenly surged into Su Ziyang's eyes. At the same time, a low roar like that of a wild beast sounded out from his throat.